Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to modify the timeout for header bidding. It is important because it plays a role in terms of the speed as to which we can accept different bids from different header bidders. And it also directly impacts page load or page performance. When timeout is too long and it takes a while for the page to wait for all those bids to come in, it slows down the entire page and it negatively impacts performance. On the other hand, if timeout is too short, then you're not giving enough time for bidders to respond and you're not getting a lot of demand or a lot of bidders, to buy your traffic. And again, it will negatively impact performance. So you need to find the happy middle and the most optimal timeout that performs best for your site. So when you run your config test, it's going to show you the DFP timeout versus the bidder timeout. And they have to match exactly. I'm going to show you why that is. So let's say, for example, this is your DFP timeout. Let's say this one is set to 1000 milliseconds. And then here comes your header bidding timeout, which is set to, let's say, 1.5 or 1.2. So what happens here is that on header bidding side, some bidders think that they still have enough time to respond with a bid up to 1200 milliseconds, only to find out that as soon as it reaches DFP bidding is already closed because the timeout for DFP was only set to 1000. And it could be vice versa. If you set DFP timeout to, let's say, more than the header bidding timeout, then DFP thinks that, oh, there's still enough time to accept all those bids, but in header bidding side, it's already closed. And the bidding in DFP is still open up to 200 more milliseconds, which is not necessary anymore. Because in header bidding side, it's already closed. So that impacts page performance. And what we need to do is to make sure they both match. So that, okay, those bidders are only given 3,000, let's say 1,200 milliseconds, and the same thing in DFP. Bidding is also closed within the same number of milliseconds. So none of them thinks that they still have enough time when they actually don't. Now let's talk about how to modify the timeout for off-page first. So if you're an off-page publisher, you have this one line of code in your header, most likely. And the only way to modify the timeout is to add this line of code right above your header tag. So try to locate where this header tag is, grab this line of code and add it in there. And then decide how many milliseconds do you want the timeout for. So by default, our technology runs at 1000 milliseconds. And let's say, for example, you want to give more time for your bidders to respond with a bid. Then you can increase it to, let's say, oh, I want to do 1500 instead of 1000. And let's say, oh, page performance is still okay. I can increase it further. And let's say I want to do 2000 milliseconds. Then you have to observe how it impacts overall performance. Are you getting more bids? Are you getting higher CPMs? That way, is your page load okay? And if it did increase, let's say it took longer for your page to load, is it still within the acceptable time for you? If not, then you have to go back and try to reduce this. If you're an on-page publisher, you most likely have these lines of codes right here. And you still have your, let's say, DFP header tags defined on the page. And the timeout for on-page setup is right here. You can just go ahead and look for M2 timeout, and you're going to see this. So here, you can modify that if you want to increase and or decrease it. It's up to you. Alright guys, so in case you have a more customized setup not covered in this tutorial, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be here to assist you.